Hello, this is Clara Oswald speaking. Oh, Clara. Hello. You're through to Domino's Pizza. How may I help you? Was wondering if I could order the vegetarian pizza for myself and my friend. Oh yes, the veggie supreme. Right. Yes. Well, we could do that, and you could spice things up a bit, make it a bit of a hot one. Are you trying to flirt with me? Yes. No. Give me that. Hello, this is Malcolm Tucker. Call your boots? What the hell? I was talking to a woman. Where is she? I don't think you've been talking to many women all your life, or you wouldn't have been laid like I have last night. Well, I thought we were talking about ordering pizza here. She doesn't want the veggie supreme. She wants the meat feast with extra meatballs. They're almost as big as mine. I hardly think that's the most appropriate thing to say over the phone. Well, do you want me to pay for these or not? Be my pal and tell me. Do you make good pizzas? Goodbye. Hello, my fellow Whovians and subscribers, and welcome to my latest Doctor Who review. Yay, woo! I'm back after a bit of a hiatus of Doctor Who reviews. I took a break after I finished the Matt Smith era, and I'm now back to review the debut story for Peter Capaldi as the 12th Doctor, Deep Breath, written by Stephen Moffat, and it's actually the first episode of Series 8 of Doctor Who. Well, Series 8 of the new series, anyway. And it is a whopping 75 minutes long. It's a feature, well, over feature length episode. It's about the same runtime as the 50th anniversary. So, yeah. So, Peter Capaldi's first story. And this was aired in 2014. So, wow. Has it really been 8 years since Peter Capaldi was the Doctor? Wow. So, the plot of Deep Breath is as follows. Shortly after his regeneration, the 12th Doctor arrives in Victorian London and Clara Oswald struggles to embrace the new man the Doctor has become. All the while, they reunite with the Paternoster gang to investigate a series of combustions that have been occurring all around the city. So, Deep Breath. Well, as I understand it, this is quite a popular story among a lot of the fans. Certainly the people that like Peter Capaldi a lot seem to enjoy the story. I think that it's nice that we have an older Doctor now. It sort of feels like they're trying to hark back to somewhat of the old days, like a Hartnell Pertwee-esque kind of Doctor, who's a bit more grittier, a bit more rugged, and not so much of a young, pretty boy, which is what we've had the last two times. But I have to be completely honest with you guys when I say, get ready for a controversial review. Deep Breath, for me, this is one of the most overrated Doctor Who stories of all time. I'm sorry, I just didn't like this story that much. Now, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's a shit story. At best, I think Deep Breath is okay. It's very mediocre for me. It's a very poor way to begin Peter Capaldi's era for me. First of all, let's start where it starts with the plot. I just don't find the plot that interesting. I mean, the clockwork droids, or whatever they are, they're just not very interesting, and the whole plot seems to be a rip-off of The Girl in the Fireplace, and they even reference the Madame de Pompadour ship, so if that isn't on the nose enough for you, I don't know what is. I mean, the design looks okay, it looks alright, but they just don't really do that much, and the fact that the characters have to hold their breath to stop the creatures from attacking them, okay, it's a cool concept, but why? Yeah, it was a premise that was kind of cool, but I think it was more of an afterthought, really. It comes across like they kind of thought about that a bit late in the day, while they were trying to focus on Capaldi's performance being the centre of the story. Which I suppose in hindsight isn't a bad thing, because it is his debut story, and you want to make the Doctor the central focus, and his post-regeneration trauma, so to speak, how he's trying to adjust to his new body. But the central mystery that they're trying to uncover is really dull. It's just not that interesting to me. I didn't give a shit half the time what was going on, because the episode honestly just bored me. And that brings me on to my next point. The runtime. This story is 30 minutes too long. This story is incredibly overlong. It did not need to be 75 minutes. I'm sorry. This could have been a straight 45-minute episode, and it would have been tight, it would have been pacey, and it would have felt a bit more exciting. At the very least, 1 hour. It didn't need to be 75 minutes. It was really padded out. The first half of the story is literally the Doctor trying to deal with his new body. There is no plot. There is literally, it's him in Victorian London trying to deal with his regeneration. He's getting confused by everything, and he's getting discombobulated, and he's going after the dinosaur, which is interesting. Interesting from the perspective of Capaldi's performance. Now, I don't think Peter Capaldi is the greatest Doctor ever. I don't think he's my favourite Doctor, far from it. But I thought he was pretty good for his first episode. I do admit some of the comedic lines were very stiff. I don't think that he's a Doctor that really lends himself well to comedy. I think a lot of the comedic lines in the script really felt like they were written for Matt Smith. I just don't think Capaldi has a genuine comic style. But he certainly nails the grittier, the darker, the sort of grumpier side of the character, and he's certainly kind of trying to figure it all out. And I think that he's still finding his feet as the Doctor. But he is very good, and I think he is very solid in this story, and certainly towards the end, when he's in the restaurant talking with the villain, the Clockwork Droid character, I did like those dramatic moments there. And the moment at the end where you don't exactly know if the Doctor actually pushed him over the edge onto the tower, because the Clockwork Droid is, the spike of the tower goes through his chest, so he's been killed. But we don't know if the Doctor has actually done that, or whether the guy actually jumped off the edge and killed himself. I love that moment because that's very dark, and it gives the impression that this Doctor is going to be much tougher, much darker, much grittier, and he's a very two-sided character. I like the fact that Capaldi's Doctor is more multi-dimensional. Matt Smith's Doctor was more of a goofball, but he could be dark and dramatic where he wanted to be. It feels like they've really stripped the character and taken him in a much newer direction. So I appreciate the direction for Peter Capaldi's Doctor, and I do like his scenes in this story. I do feel, though, that him and Jenna Coleman are a little bit mismatched. I mean, obviously this is a thing that will continue, so I'll kind of reserve full judgment on this until I watch the rest of the series. But at first, I know she's kind of struggling to deal with the Doctor, and that's her involvement in the story. She's trying to adjust to this new guy, this older guy who's just turned up, and she can't really comprehend it. But I mean, they still do act very well together. But I'm seeing the beginnings of Clara turning into a bit of a control freak. And they even reference it in the episode, how much of a control freak she's becoming. And yeah, if it wasn't obvious by now, then it will be later on in the series that Clara's going to take, sadly, a bit of a dip. But Jenna's good. She gives a good performance, and quite an emotional performance, especially at the very end. The Paternoster gang are back. Yes, they're back for their final story. They actually don't appear again, as far as I'm aware. They don't appear anymore after this. And they're good. It's nice to see Vastra, Jenny, and Strax back, and they're not as annoying as they have been before. There's a couple of moments with Strax where he's examining Clara medically, and there's a couple of unnecessary sexual references. Well, it's another Stephen Moffat script, what do you expect? And Vastra and Jenny are good in the story. They definitely kind of take a much more of a central role as the Doctor is trying to adjust to his regeneration. But I didn't necessarily want to hear every single scene how much the two of them are married. Okay, I understand that they're in a lesbian marriage, and that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. But they don't have to keep mentioning it all the time. And the fact that they actually kiss in this story, that's fine. I mean, it wasn't necessary for the story, but I have no complaints with it. It was when they were trying to hold their breath against the Clockwork Droids, and she says something like, I think they're speaking telepathically or something. It's a little confusing as to how they're communicating at that point, considering they're holding their breaths. But then they kiss, and she's like, I have oxygen, share with me. Yeah, so it's a little weird, but it is fine. It's nothing that, we can't handle. But I think over the course of time, as it goes on, the further progression of this show, it will head into more political correctness territory, certainly with more episodes to come and later series, and especially in Jodie Whittaker's era. But obviously we will cross that bridge when we come to it. We're just focusing on Deep Breath for now. The music is good by Murray Gold. He definitely ramps it up. He tries to make it as exciting as possible. I do quite like the opening of the story with the Doctor and Clara in the dinosaur with the TARDIS, and They find a dinosaur in Victorian London. That was kind of cool. I mean, the CGI is a little dated now, but for its time, it's pretty decent. And I have to be honest, the ending scene with Matt Smith. Matt Smith turns up at the end for a cameo with the phone call. I just thought that was really unnecessary. I do like Matt Smith as the Doctor, but he's gone now. We really didn't need that scene. You know, we didn't need to see him, and it went on for quite a while, actually. It went on for a good few minutes. It was basically the Doctor saying, oh, give this new person a chance. You know, it is still me. Give the new person a chance. So I can understand from an emotional perspective why they had that scene there. But to me, it was just kind of unnecessary. They could have done that scene without the phone call. And yeah, I just think it was far too self-indulgent to have Matt Smith there. It almost kind of feels like it was kind of Moffat saying to the audience, certainly the female audience who liked the pretty boy doctors, saying, oh, don't worry, this is still the Doctor, give this guy a chance. So I can understand it from that point of view, and it's kind of amusing when you think of it that way. But it has no relevance to the story. It doesn't need to be there. The episode could have survived without it, to be honest. And I do admit the episode looks great. The period setting in Victorian London is great, and going into the underground lair of the villains in the restaurant was awesome. But I can't deny, folks, I just could not get into this story. It was so long, and it was so drawn out, and it was just boring. The villain's plan just really was nothing. They were literally murdering people for spare parts. That's it. You know, there was no substance to the story. And I'm sorry, I'll say this again. It was 30 minutes too long. It didn't need to be 1 hour, 15 minutes. I'm sorry. You know, if they wanted to make it that long, they should have made it 2 parts, because actually, then again, maybe they shouldn't. I do think Capaldi is good in the story, although I think the best of Capaldi is yet to come. So stay tuned for that. So overall, I've got to be honest with you guys. I really want to give this story a pass, but I just can't. I just really can't. It's not very good, and I know some people are going to be surprised to hear that. This is a controversial review. I'm sorry. I'm just literally being honest. I'm going to give Deep Breath a 5 out of 10. Yeah, sadly, there was not much there for me to really gauge. But it isn't terrible. It isn't terrible. But my goodness me, whoever edited this episode really needs to speak with the production team about the pace of it, because my goodness me, the pace of it is terrible. But anyway, thank you very much all for watching this review. What do you think of Deep Breath? Please comment down below. Let me know. And next time, I will be reviewing Into the Dalek. So until next time, thank you very much all for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, I'm Mr. TARDIS 11. Thank you for watching. See ya.